Welcome along to Silverstone for round 6 of the 2018 Radical SR1 Cup Championship. The grid for the second race of the weekend is set by the second fastest times in qualifying, so it's Ryan Harper-Ellam that will line up on pole position, James Pinkerton alongside. Row 2 of the grid, Will Hunt and Adarsh Radia, and row 3 is Julian Lay and Chris Short, Gavin McAlpine and Ross Elliott on row number 4. And Mark Williams has David Tagg for company on row number 5. The 6th row of the grid, that's where we see Andrew Ritchie and Richard Wilson. And row number 7 is Paul Clark and Peter Devlin. Well, the lights are out on the safety car. The cars are in neat 2x2 order, ready for the start of this race. In yesterday's race, we saw James Pinkerton beat Ryan Harper-Ellam by 6 1/1000ths of a second in round 5 of the championship. Well, the pair of them are on the front row of the grid, and let's have a look as to whether this is going to be as close or even closer possibly today. So here we go, lights are on the gantry. The orange crash helmet on the left-hand side of the screen is James Pinkerton, who is on the outside of the front row of the grid and gets a good start again. Ryan Harper-Ellam may be slightly slower to react when the lights went out. It's going to be James Pinkerton that leads the race. Ryan Harper-Ellam is there in second position, and it looks as though it was Will Hunt, was it, that slotted his way through into third place on the charge up towards Copse Corner, but everybody safely through the first corner as they head down and in towards the braking area for Maggotts and Beckett's. It's Adarsh Radia actually that's in third place. Will Hunt's there in fourth position. Fifth has gone through, and sixth, I think, is Chris Short in the early stages of this one, but we'll get confirmation of that as they work their way onto the Wellington Straight for the first time. We saw some great slipstreaming going on down the Wellington Straight earlier on this weekend. We're now side by side by the look of things through Brooklands for the lead of the race. Ryan Harper-Ellam, the outside of Brooklands, would give him the inside line for Luffield Corner, side by side with James Pinkerton. They're both on the very ragged edge, maybe the slightest of touches between the pair of them, but all very fair again as they push each other to the absolute limit. But Ryan Harper-Ellam has gone through to take up the lead of the race from James Pinkerton, who for the first time this weekend is not going to lead a lap. So over the start-finish line now go. It is Ryan Harper-Ellam in the lead of the race. James Pinkerton there in second position. Adarsh Radia was still there in third, just as I had a quick glimpse of the cars as they came over the start-finish line, which must mean that Will Hunt, the leading rookie, is in fourth place currently. So here they come up towards Maggotts and Beckett's corner. There is number 23, Adarsh Radia, who, as we say, has been racing Caterhams over the course of the last season or so, making his debut in the Radical SR1 Cup this weekend. He's had a good start. He's managed to get himself through and ahead of the number 22 car of Will Hunt, as now we see the slipstreaming all occurring down the Wellington Straight. Best opportunity. Get in the hole in the air that the car ahead is making and see whether you can squeeze your way through, which was exactly what Ryan Harper-Ellam did to give himself the opportunity on the previous lap. He went round the outside of Brooklands, had the inside for Luffield and was able to go through and dispose James Pinkerton down into second position. So that's the order as they come through and over the start-finish line. The pit board's being hung out to give the drivers the information as to what time is left in this race, what the gaps are between the people both ahead and behind them. And the lead three already over the start-finish line. There goes the fourth place car. That's Will Hunt in fourth position. Julian Lay sitting there in fifth place, and it looks like it's Ross Elliott's car that completes the top 6 in the early stages of this one. But as you can see, most of the cars all still very tightly packed together. There goes Will Hunt. There is, in fact, Ross Elliott is in 6th place, and 7th and 8th place are rather close as well. 8th place is going to be Gavin McAlpine, the number 17 car at this stage, behind the number 11 machine in the hands of Chris Short. The two rookies squabbling away mid-pack at this stage. Beautiful conditions here at Silverstone, rather warm conditions though for the race drivers who are pushing their cars to the very, very limit. The number 21 car there is Will Hunt. Behind him though is Ross Elliott, driver who didn't qualify well at the wheel of the number 52 machine, and in race number 1 fought his way from 8th on the grid up to 4th. Well, he's come from 8th on the grid and has gained a couple of places so far. As over the start-finish line goes our race leader. Ryan Harper-Ellam leads. James Pinkerton there, number 22, 3 times a race winner, won round 5 of the championship earlier on this weekend, sitting there in second place, bounces over the curbs a little bit on the exit of Copse Corner. But the two of them already starting to build a bit more of an advantage between themselves and the number 23 car of Adarsh Radia, who's just falling away a shade more now in third place. Out of Beckett's onto the Wellington Straight once more. James Pinkerton not really close enough to pick up a great deal of a slipstream from Ryan Harper-Ellam ahead, so the gap between the pair of them as they thread their way through the left-hander at Brooklands remains roughly the same. It's about half a dozen car lengths at the apexes of the corner. It stretches to 7 or 8 by the look of things as they head onto the straights, just as the car ahead is able to pick up the throttle that split second earlier than the car behind. But that's another lap chalked into the book as far as Ryan Harper-Ellam is concerned. We did see in the race earlier on today that the back markers had a bit of an effect as the race wore on. Well, at the moment, there's no traffic for Ryan Harper-Ellam to worry about, so he's just going to try and build the margin. There goes number 44, Julian Lay. He won the Fangio Trophy in round 5 of the championship, his first win in the Fangio Trophy so far this year. He is also leading the Fangio Trophy in this race as well, the number 44 car, pushing on hard, trying to apply the pressure to the car ahead of him in 4th place, which is Will Hunt, whilst keeping at bay Ross Elliott, that's behind him in 6th position. So a good little fight, that one to keep an eye on as the race wears on. Here's our race leader, Ryan Harper-Ellam, just turning his way round through Brooklands and up towards Luffield. He has had a good string of results. He finished runner-up in the race, of course, earlier on this weekend. That was his second place finish of the year. He's had a couple of wins. The only blip, really, was that non-finish in the very first round at Alton Park, where when the lights went out, he had a small mechanical issue and very sadly had to retire. He's also qualified on pole position, has Ryan Harper-Ellam, for every race we've had so far this year in the Radical SR1 Cup. Squabbles going on further down through the order, but here is our race leader, Ryan Harper-Ellam, through Maggots up towards Beckett. You can see the gap between himself and James Pinkerton. Here's the 3rd place car of Adish Radia. 4th place is still Will Hunt. 5th place is still number 44, Julian Lay, but you can see the pressure he's under from the number 52 car of Ross Elliott, and Ross might try and see whether he can sit behind, pick up the hole in the air that's being made by the car ahead and try and jink out and sneak his way up the inside as they head in towards Brooklands, which is what they're doing now by the look of things. No, the order still remains the same. It's still Will Hunt just from Julian Lay, and then the number 52 car of Ross Elliott will just have to keep his powder dry for the moment. Very close though they are as they thread their way out of Luffield Corner, and for Ross Elliott, the slipstream over the start-finish line could be the opportunity here. Pretty much nose to tail as they head over the start-finish line, and Ross Elliott here has got the run on Julian Lay as he heading up towards Copse Corner. Can he squeeze his way through? No, not quite. Julian Lay sweeps across the front of the nose of the number 52 car, and Ross Elliott for the moment has no choice but to remain down in 6th position. Well, Chris Lay still leads the Fangio Trophy, but he's clinging by his fingertips onto what is 5th place. Great fight that's going on between the pair of them. So there is number 52, Ross Elliott. He'll have to try and see whether he can conjure something else up, because that one didn't quite work, not at least on that occasion. The rest of the field all filing their way through and onto the Wellington Straight. You can see the heat haze, you can see what beautiful weather we've got here at Silverstone this weekend. The crowd's certainly enjoying it. The drivers enjoying some very close racing again in the 6th round of the 2018 Championship, and that man there, Ross Elliott, still knowing that he's got plenty of time to try and work his magic and squeeze his way past, if he can, Julian Lay. Over the start-finish line have gone the leading pair of cars. This is the 3rd place car, Adish Radia. 4th place, Will Hunt. 5th place is Julian Lay. 6th place still there, number 52, Ross Elliott. So it's quite close, is it not, between what is 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th places. 4 cars pretty much running together with each other, and here they are up towards the braking area for Maggots and Beckett's once more. Car that's behind, just outside of the top 6, is going to be the number 11 car. That's Chris Short, and there is the number 17 car of Gavin McAlpine. They're both rookies in the championship. They might be outside of the top 6, but 7th and 8th place, they're still getting on with it, and for bragging rights as to who's going to be the 2nd or the 3rd rookie home. So here they come in towards the braking area for Brooklands, turning their way through. Still the same order, still just the number 11 car of Chris Short ahead of Gavin McAlpine, who needs to close up really, doesn't he? Another 2 or 3 car lengths if he wants to try and mount a real challenge to squeeze his way through and move from what is currently 8th place up into 7th position. Here comes Adish Radia round through Copse Corner. Will Hunt still trying to chase him down. Then this pair of cars still busy squabbling away. Julian Lay under pressure from Ross Elliott, who looks as though he's got a good run this time heading out of Copse Corner. Is he going to be able to do anything as they head down towards Maggots? Not quite by the look of things. So that order still remains the same, and you can see the pair of them ever closer to each other. Julian Lay still leads the Fangio Trophy. Ross Elliott, who is not eligible for that trophy, such as his age, putting him under pressure again as they head along the Wellington Straight. Is he going to jink out and try and pull a move? You can see he just jinked out and looks to try and squeeze his way through and up the inside, and he's made it stick. So Ross Elliott gains the place there. The number 52 car now ahead of Julian Lay, who loses 1 position, but more importantly is still leading the charge of those drivers eligible for the Fangio Trophy. Now that he's gone through, though, can he start to close in on the next pair of cars up the road, which are these two just coming towards us now, Adish Radia and the car in the hands of Will Hunt. This is the fight that's going on for second and third in the Fangio Trophy at the moment. David Tagg just managing to hold off Richard Wilson all of the time, whilst the number 44 car of Julian Lay, who's just heading up towards us now at Beckett's corner, that car there leads the Fangio Trophy. So he's got about a quarter of a lap advantage at this stage, so a comfortable gap between himself and his trophy rivals in the Fangio category. Down the Wellington straight he'll go, looking to try and see whether he can get back past the driver he lost the place to a few laps ago, which was Ross Elliott. There goes the number 52 car, having gained the place. It does look as though Julian Lay is trying to cling on to the coattails of him and is trying to make sure that he doesn't make good his escape. So the leading pair of cars already safely through. Ryan Harper-Ellam, James Pinkerton. This is a third place car, which is Adash Radia, with Will Hunt not too far behind still. The number 21 car in the hands of Will Hunt. He's the leading rookie in the race, but he's in fourth place overall. He was on the podium in the first race of the weekend here at Silverstone, but at the moment it looks as though that honour is going the way of Adash Radia at the wheel of the number 23 car. Will Hunt, though, trying to close him down, looking to see whether he can close the gap enough so as to try and pick up a bit of a tow either on the Wellington straight, where they're heading onto now, or onto the start-finish straight. And it looks as though he certainly is closing the gap now. He's not going to be able to do anything as they turn their way through Brooklands. Adash Radia, you can see the car just sliding around on the control Hankook tyres that all of these cars have to run, but Will Hunt now has been able to, over the course of the last few laps, close the gap up by another 2 or 3 car lengths. So he's certainly within touching distance now, and again should be able to close up a little bit more as they come over the start-finish line this time through. But Adash Radia still hangs on to third place. Will Hunt trying to hunt him down in fourth position, and again nice and neat and tidy coming out of Copse Corner. If they start to squabble, don't rule out the fact that the cars behind may begin to close up as well, and that will include Gavin McAlpine and the next of the cars as well, which is now of course going to be Ross Elliott. Out of Beckett's down the straight, and it certainly looks as though this is a good opportunity here for Will Hunt. He's worked terribly hard over the last few laps, but again, frustratingly, just not quite close enough to Adash Radia, so has to sit behind him still. Feed their way through Luffield, these identical SR1s, all powered by the same 1340cc RPE tuned Suzuki engine, 6-speed paddle shift, up through the gears, up into 6th gear they'll go, over the start-finish line, and well, this is a great fight now for the final podium spot. Through the right-hander at Copse Corner, carry a lot of speed through there, the aerodynamics on the car, pushing the car down into the ground, and well, for Adash Radia, he is still at the moment occupying the final podium place, despite the fact that Will Hunt has closed in on him significantly. But he hasn't as yet had a true opportunity to try and squeeze his way through. As for second and third in the Fangio Trophy, well, that's still going the way of these two drivers rolling their sleeves up. The car behind is Richard Wilson. The car that's currently second and just ahead of him in the Fangio Trophy is David Tagg, and they've had a pretty much a race-long battle. Richard Wilson brakes as late as he can. Can he do anything about David Tagg? He's going to try and switch back on the exit of Beckett's, is he, and run side by side. No, he can't quite do it, so he'll still be just bottled up behind David Tagg currently as they continue to fight for second and third in the Fangio class, that being 10th and 11th places overall. Great little fight. And now is this the opportunity for Will Hunt? He jinks out from behind Adash Radia just to show him the nose of the car, more of a case of trying to distract the driver ahead, getting him to watch in his mirrors, but it is still Adash Radia that hangs on to third place overall. Will Hunt sitting there in fourth place, and now that they're squabbling, it's just allowing the fifth place car, number 52, that of Ross Elliott, to close in ever more. So we've almost now got 3 cars fighting away for third, fourth, and well, not quite fifth at the moment. Onto the Wellington straight, Will Hunt looking to try and use the advantage of sitting in the slipstream of the car ahead, but again, I just don't think he's close enough. Here's number 18, Mark Williams. He was 9th in the first race of the weekend. He's 9th in this one as well. He's had a consistent weekend here at Silverstone and a fairly consistent season as well. Just one non-finish. That was in the second of the 2 races at Alton Park over the course of the Easter weekend when the Radical SR1 Cup was supporting the British GT Championship up there. There goes number 5, Peter Devlin. Here comes now the fight for what is still third, fourth and fifth position, so they've got traffic that they're going to have to deal with before too much longer. There goes a number 44 car, that's the 6th place car. Julian Lay still leading the Fangio Trophy and quite comfortably still at this stage of the race, but he has lost touch with the trio of cars ahead of him. This little trio here down towards Beckett. Adash Radia desperate to try and hang on to third place, but under pressure from Will Hunt. Adash, as we say, making his debut in the championship this weekend. It would be great if we could see him on the podium in his first weekend of racing in the Radical SR1s. And that's the fight that's still brewing and still hasn't been resolved for second and third place in the Fangio Trophy. David Tagg still being hounded by Richard Wilson by the look of things as they come up towards the braking area for Maggots and then on towards Beckett's. They're fighting over 10th and 11th place, but the blue car just up the road is the 9th place car of Mark Williams, and I think actually they're now starting to pick away at the lead that he's built up. So that could well be what is a two-car battle slowly becoming a three-car battle. The back markers now, which are the cars we've just been talking about, fighting over second and third in the Fangio class, getting caught by the third place car of Adash Radia, who's going to weave his way through, but he's a little bit slower, couldn't quite get past the back marker on the way in towards Copse Corner. It's compromised his run on the way out, and now that's put him firmly under pressure from number 21, Will Hunt, who had a much better run through the back markers. Back markers didn't exactly do anything wrong, it was just they were met in the wrong place for Adash Radia as far as he was concerned, and that's cost him time now. Here's our race leader, which is Ryan Harper-Ellam, on course for win number 3 of the season. We saw a third win of the year for James Pinkerton in the first race of the weekend. Well, he is currently sitting there in second place, James Pinkerton. The number 23 car sitting there in third place, Adash Radia, but can he hang on to it? Will Hunt still within touching distance, still within the wheel tracks of the car ahead, but frustratingly remaining off the podium at the moment. As for Ryan Harper-Ellam, well, he leads the race. He hasn't got much of an advantage still, though, between himself and James Pinkerton. There's hovering around about a second and a half between the pair of them. But unlike race 1, where they were pretty much inseparable for the whole race, there is just a little bit of daylight between them, and therefore we're not quite seeing the level of squabbling that we saw in race 1 of the weekend. In towards the braking area for Brooklands comes what is now the attack. Will Hunt looking to try and squeeze his way through it ahead of Adash Radia. He squeezes his way up the inside coming in towards Beckett's corner. Adash Radia tries to fight back on the exit of the corner. There's also the back markers that come into consideration, which is Paul Clark's car, and it looks so one's going one side, one's going the other, and Paul Clark, the back marker, is in the middle there, out of harm's way. They've gone through, they've taken the place, and they're still side by side. It looks as though Adash Radia is going to lose out here yet, because Will Hunt had the inside line, and the back markers had a pivotal part to play in the change for what is third and fourth position. Will Hunt up into third place, as he was in race number 1 of the weekend, and Adash Radia now down into fourth position. That for him is still a place higher than he managed in the first race of the weekend. But look behind him, and there is Ross Elliott, the man who finished ahead of him in the first race of the weekend. So for Adash Radia, he's still got plenty of work to do here. Despite losing a place, if he doesn't want to lose another one, he's just going to keep pushing towards the checkered flag. So Will Hunt up into third, number 23 Adash Radia there in fourth place, 52 Ross Elliott sitting there in fifth position, looking to try and apply the pressure, see whether he might be able to unlock the door to gaining a place, as Will Hunt did on the lap prior. Over the start-finish line comes still this fight that's going on for what will be 9th, 10th and 11th place. There goes Mark Williams in 9th, and there is 10th and 11th, with the race leader now behind them as well. So the second and third place cars in the Fangio Trophy about to be lapped by Ryan Harper-Ellam, who is now, what, a mile and a half away from victory number 3 of the season, but again still is going to have work to do, because you can see traffic lies ahead. James Pinkerton in second place is not that far behind, and any compromise at all through the traffic is going to mean that we could be on for another grandstand finish here, as we saw in round 5 of the championship. Up towards the braking area for Brooklands. Some of the back markers have now been passed. There's still one more to be dealt with by what is our race leader, number 79, Ryan Harper-Ellam. But thankfully, I think he's going to be able to sprint his way out of Luffield Corner up towards the checkered flag, which will await him. And the 2018 SR1 shootout winner comes through to take the checkered flag. Contact further back and sideways over the line. Richard Wilson and David Tagg getting together for 10th and 11th place, but more importantly, second and third of the Fangio Trophy cars home. But they both were able to finish despite the contact. So Ryan Harper-Ellam claims his third victory of the season here at Silverstone. James Pinkerton claimed victory earlier on in the day, which means they leave Silverstone with a very similar points gap to the 26 points when they arrived here at the beginning of the weekend. But Ryan Harper-Ellam and James Pinkerton, this rivalry without question is going to continue all season. Let's confirm the results then. Ryan Harper-Ellam claimed the win ahead of James Pinkerton in second place, and Will Hunt was third and the leading rookie home. Adash Radia and Ross Elliott were fourth and fifth, ahead of Julian Lay, who secured top honours in the Fangio Trophy. Chris Short, Gavin McAlpine, Mark Williams and David Tagg completed the top 10, with Richard Wilson, Andrew Ritchie, Paul Clark and Peter Devlin the last of the finishers. Let's catch up with our winners.
Yeah, really happy with that. Learned a lot from the first race, and then just kind of carried that into this one. Got the move done early, got a gap, and yeah, it was a good fun race.
I was sleeping a bit at the start, and Ryan just managed to get away from me, and from there I was just trying to hold the gap, but tried reeling him in, did a few fast laps, but yeah, wasn't enough.
Had a fantastic battle out there. I think it was with Arshada. And when I realised his weaknesses, I exploited one of them and went for the move. And with 2 laps to go, it then became an absolute slug to focus and bring the car home.
A shame, another couple of tenths, and I could have been with the guys in front. So I spent a lot of the race on my own, but it was still very enjoyable.
Well, that's all at Silverstone. Don't forget, join us for the next 2 rounds taking place at Cadwell Park in Lincolnshire on the 21st of July. Goodbye.